I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today we're diving into a conversation that's not just thought-provoking, but downright revolutionary. We're talking about freedom, self-reliance, and the courage to stand up against the forces that threaten our way of life. So, buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. Today, we're dissecting an interview from Decentralized TV featuring Ann Vandersteel. Now, if you haven't heard of Ann, you're in for a treat. She's a fierce advocate for liberty, a champion of decentralized living, and a beacon of hope for those who believe in the power of self-determination. Ann joined hosts Mike Adams and Todd Pittner to discuss her life as an American national, the importance of living off the grid, and the urgent need to reclaim our freedoms. The interview kicks off with Mike expressing his admiration for Ann's work and her fearless approach to tackling the tough issues. He mentions that she's joining them from Belize, where she's been conducting on-the-ground research with Michael Yon and Masako Ganaha. They're investigating the migrant invasion and mapping out the globalist organizations that are making their presence felt in the region. It's a critical mission, as it ties directly into the broader narrative of the destruction of the American way of life. Ann shares her experiences with the Mennonites, a community that embodies the principles of off-grid living. She describes them as self-sustained, eschewing modern conveniences like electricity, and relying instead on their own resources for medicine, finance, and governance. This lifestyle, she explains, is a powerful example of how we can break free from the shackles of centralized systems that have betrayed us. Ann's interaction with the Mennonites highlights the stark contrast between their way of life and the one imposed by the globalist agenda. They live in harmony with nature, using traditional knowledge to harness the healing properties of plants and practicing sustainable agriculture. This is a far cry from the dystopian future envisioned by figures like Klaus Schwab, where humanity is controlled and manipulated by a small elite. Mike and Ann delve into the betrayal of centralized systems, from governments to health authorities and central banks. They argue that these institutions have failed us, and it's up to individuals to take matters into their own hands. Ann emphasizes the importance of self-reliance, urging listeners to learn how to live off the grid and opt out of the system that seeks to control every aspect of our lives. Ann paints a chilling picture of the globalist takeover, describing how they're digitizing every aspect of our lives, from health records to financial transactions. She warns that the push for a central bank digital currency is part of a larger plan to exert total control over the population. The recent crackdown on cattle farming in the Netherlands, she argues, is a prime example of the absurdity of their agenda, driven by a misguided obsession with climate change. The conversation takes a hopeful turn as Ann emphasizes the power of self-reliance. She believes that by learning to live off the grid and embracing decentralized living, we can reclaim our freedoms and build a better future. This is not just about survival, but about thriving in a world that's increasingly hostile to individual liberty. Ann stresses the importance of education and awareness, urging listeners to question the narratives pushed by mainstream media and government agencies. She believes that by understanding the true nature of the threats we face, we can better prepare ourselves to resist them. This is a call to action for all of us to become more informed, more engaged, and more proactive in defending our freedoms. The interview takes a fascinating turn as Ann discusses her journey to becoming an American national. She explains that this is not just a legal status, but a profound statement of independence and self-determination. By renouncing her U.S. citizenship, she has reclaimed her God-given rights and freed herself from the constraints of the corporate government. Ann walks us through the process of becoming an American national, emphasizing the importance of understanding the legal and historical context. She encourages others to explore this path, but also warns of the potential pitfalls and the need for careful research and guidance. The conversation then shifts to the practical ramifications of becoming an American national. Ann explains that this status offers greater freedom and autonomy, allowing her to live life on her own terms. She discusses the challenges of navigating the financial landscape, advocating for the use of gold, silver, and other hard assets to preserve wealth and ensure mobility. Ann also touches on the importance of avoiding the pitfalls of the corporate financial system, urging listeners to be vigilant about the encroachment of central bank digital currencies and the erosion of personal freedoms. As the interview wraps up, Ann leaves us with a powerful message of hope and defiance. She calls on all Americans to rise up and reclaim their freedoms, to stand up against the forces of tyranny, and to work towards the rebirth of a nation that truly embodies the principles of liberty and justice. And there you have it, folks. A riveting conversation that challenges us to rethink our assumptions, question the status quo, and take bold action to protect our freedoms. If you want to learn more about Ann Vandersteel and her work, be sure to check out her website, rightnow.news. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Ann Vandersteel and Decentralized TV hosts Mike Adams and Todd Pittner on March 12, 2024. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.